The U.S. House of Representatives approved a bill aimed at bringing an end to the longest government shutdown in the country's history. This decision came after an unprecedented 43-day period of funding disruption, during which federal employees experienced delayed paychecks, travelers were left stranded in airports, and many individuals found themselves queuing at food banks in search of meals for their families. After nearly 2 months away, House lawmakers finally returned to the nation's capital, a highly anticipated event. With a narrow majority, Republicans successfully pushed the bill through, achieving a largely partisan vote of 222-209. The Senate has already approved the legislation. The anticipated signing by Trump is set to conclude the second government shutdown he has managed during his time in the White House. This shutdown has intensified the partisan rifts in Washington as his administration engaged in extraordinary unilateral measures, such as halting projects and attempting to dismiss federal employees, to coerce Democrats into conceding to their demands. Here's all you need to know. Democrats aim to prolong an improved tax credit that is set to expire at the year's end, which helps reduce the expenses associated with health insurance acquired via Affordable Care Act marketplaces. They declined to support a temporary spending bill that lacked their key priority. However, Republicans argued that this issue constituted a distinct policy battle to be addressed later. The shutdown highlighted the significant partisan rifts in Congress, a division clearly visible during the discussions of the spending proposal on the House floor. Republicans contended that Democrats were attempting to leverage the hardships caused by the shutdown to gain an advantage in a policy conflict. In response, Democrats claimed that Republicans hurried to approve tax cuts earlier this year, which they believe primarily favor the affluent. Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries asserted that Democrats remain committed to pursuing the subsidy extension, regardless of the outcome of the vote. Since September 19th, the House had been absent from legislative sessions, having previously approved a temporary measure to ensure the government stayed operational as the new fiscal year commenced in October. Following that vote, Johnson dismissed lawmakers, shifting the responsibility to the Senate to take action, while declaring that House Republicans had fulfilled their obligations. The legislation garnered support from 8 senators who diverged from the Democrats, concluding that Republicans were steadfast in their refusal to use a government funding bill for the purpose of extending healthcare tax credits. At the same time, the repercussions of the shutdown were intensifying daily. This compromise allocates funding for 3 annual spending bills and prolongs government funding until January 30th. Republicans have committed to conducting a vote by mid-December regarding the extension of health care subsidies, yet there is no assurance of its success. Additionally, the legislation reinstates federal workers who were dismissed by the Trump administration since the onset of the shutdown. It also ensures that federal employees are safeguarded against any further layoffs until January and guarantees their compensation once the shutdown concludes. The legislation pertaining to the Agriculture Department ensures that individuals dependent on vital food assistance programs will continue to receive their benefits uninterrupted for the remainder of the budget year. Included in the package is a provision of $203.5 million aimed at enhancing security measures for lawmakers, alongside an extra $28 million designated for the protection of Supreme Court justices. Additionally, Democrats are capitalizing on a provision that allows senators to file lawsuits if a federal agency or employee conducts a search of their electronic records without prior notification. This could result in damages of up to $500,000 for each infringement. Democrats called for the removal of the provision The wording appears to be designed to assist Republican senators in seeking compensation should the FBI have examined their phone records during the inquiry into Trump's attempts to reverse his defeat in the 2020 election against Democrat Joe Biden. These measures have also faced backlash from Republican members. Johnson said he was very angry about it. The primary source of disagreement, however, revolved around the future of the expiring enhanced tax credit, which facilitates more affordable health insurance through the marketplaces established by the Affordable Care Act. According to Nancy Pelosi, the enhanced tax credit was intended to broaden access to health care for a larger number of individuals, yet it received no support from Republican lawmakers. Many Democrats view the approval of the spending bill this week as a misstep. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer of New York, who received blowback from his party in March when he voted to keep the government open, said the bill fails to do anything of substance to fix America's health care crisis. In the absence of the improved tax credit, millions of Americans can expect their premiums to increase by over 100%. According to projections from the Congressional Budget Office, over 2 million individuals could find themselves without any health insurance coverage next year. Independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, who caucuses with the Democrats, said giving up the fight was a horrific mistake. The likelihood of the parties reaching a consensus on health care prior to the Senate's December vote remains uncertain. Johnson has indicated that he will refrain from making a commitment to address the issue in his chamber. A number of Republicans have indicated their willingness to prolong the tax credits established during the COVID-19 pandemic, acknowledging that millions will face skyrocketing premiums. However, they also seek to impose new restrictions on eligibility for these subsidies. Keep in mind that the U.S. House of Representatives initiated the voting process to reopen the government following the approval of House Resolution 873. This resolution facilitated swift discussions within the House prior to the final vote on the matter,